Muntjac are a non-native species in the UK. They originate from China and Asia. They were brought over as species to collect in deer parks, and then they started to be released and escaped from these parks in the 1920s. Where we are in Thetford, they were first seen here in the early 1990s, and now they're established in very high numbers. So we're out stalking on a lovely midsummer's morning. Bit of light drizzle in the air, just what we want from the British summer, isn't it? Looking for Muntjac this morning in our big wood. It's about 500 acres in a block. You can see behind me we've got some big cut grass rides, and then there's some slightly open areas of woodland, so all we can really do in here is just wander up the side slowly, see if anything crosses in front of us, and if we're lucky we can spot a Muntjac in the edge before it spots us. So yeah, give it a go. Couple of row in the trees, just sat down in the wood, just got up and moved away. Just spotted from through the thermal. It's quite handy in the woodland to have the thermal. So the woodland we're stalking in this morning is predominantly an old coppice woodland. So most of it's unfenced, and you'll see as we're going through there's a good browse line from the deer. In the woodland there's a few fenced areas like the one behind me, so that's just done for habitat more than anything now, for songbird habitat, and obviously keep the deer out so they can get regeneration on the hazel coppice. So in terms of damage, because they're non-native, they wouldn't have been here originally. So they're eating wildflowers, brambles, coppice regeneration, which obviously has a knock-on effect for bird species that rely on that low-level and mid-level cover in a woodland to nest in. Got a young Muntjac buck just sat down in the wood through here, about 80, 90 metres in front of us. So we've been stood here a couple of minutes, and this little Muntjac buck's just sat down. He's had a good feed, and because he's a ruminant, he's regurgitated his food, just chewing it over. So we'll give him another few minutes. And if he doesn't stand up on his own, then we'll try and get him to stand up. The way he sat's quite awkward, so there's not really a shot on the neck or anything. It's too risky to take a headshot. Give him a couple of minutes. Trying to get his attention with the call, but he's just so relaxed and chilled out, and he's just not interested. Just has a little look over, but he doesn't have really real inclination to move, I don't think. No, he's not interested in that either. So we must have waited here 10-15 minutes. Tried calling with a bootaloo call, tried sort of shouting at him a bit, just wasn't interested. And the way he was laid down, there was possibly a shot on the neck, but it was a little bit risky. The bullet might have gone through the neck and then gone into the haunches and the body. So put the safety catch back on again and just settled down to wait. And then as soon as you take your eye off the bull, he just jumps up and got the shot off before he moved off. So go and see how we got on. So, young, just under a year, coming up for a year, Muntjac buck. Hasn't quite got his first set of antlers yet. It's just got some long pedicles on there. Sat down here, just chewing the cud over. The angle he was sat at, I mean, I could have maybe shot in the neck, but the bullet might have gone into the haunches at the back. I don't really like taking neck shots or head shots. Just wait for the chest. You know, you've got a good size area to hit then. And slight angle, so entry on the front of the shoulder and exit come out just behind the shoulder on the other side. So nice clean muntjac, maybe a couple of little ticks, but there are quite a few ticks in this woodland. And we'll put him somewhere safe and we'll keep going and see if we can get another one. Just walking through the woodland after we shot the muntjac, and just thought I'd show you these old pine trees. So this is historical red deer damage where the stags have been smashing the trees up with their antlers. This is probably done 20, 25 years ago, 30 years ago. And obviously from growing a tree point of view, it's not great, but the tree's still alive and growing. But obviously it weakens the tree, introduces the disease potential into it as well. So not great for the tree, but it is what it is. That's one of the reasons we're controlling the deer, is try and minimise some damage on the trees. Just coming down the ride here, and this is a piece of hazel on the edge of the ride, which it's got a bit more light and inside the wood, so it's trying its best to grow. But obviously the deer have come along and browsed it quite heavily. So see, this is just the general damage that browsing species can do on the regeneration, which is why if we're going to do any sort of meaningful tree work in the wood, pretty much have to fence everything all the time. So a lot of people are stalking with thermals now, and I've been using one 3 or 4 years. I was pretty late to the party really. A little bit old fashioned, still like my binoculars, but when you're stalking through woodland like we've got behind us, there's a lot of messy old hazel stumps and branches and trunks. The thermal's quite a handy, quick way to scan through there and pick up heat signature. You can do it with binoculars, but it's a lot more difficult. But then when we're stalking on the open rides, your binoculars are just as handy as the thermal. But either way, you still need your binoculars to identify the deer before you shoot it. So if you're going to spend the money, get a decent set of binoculars and then start saving for the thermal. So we literally just cracked on a bit up here, trying to get to the top of the wood, and just glanced over to the left, and there's a muntjac doe just stood in a little low bit of bracken. So up on the sticks, didn't have time to put them out as a 4, so 30-40 metres away, just use them as a 2, and yeah, deer down. Young muntjac doe. Chest shot, front of the shoulder again, bit of an angle. Exit behind the shoulder. Nice and clean. Yeah. Just walked down the ride, and unluckily for her, she was just stood in the only low patch of bracken in here. Managed to get the gun up. She knew we were there. Managed to get the gun up and yeah, get a shot off. So second one for the morning. We've got maybe an hour left, so we'll keep going, see what else we can find. So we stalked around for another half an hour, but this light drizzly rain started up again and everything's gone quite quiet. So nice productive morning. Shot a young muntjac buck and young muntjac doe. Muntjac are great little deer. They're great fun to stalk, and you know, they're interesting to look at. They're always moving around, but they're obviously posing a massive problem in areas where they're very heavily in number. And apart from the just general disturbance problem on shoot days on rural estates, they're obviously eating flora and fauna, involved in a lot of road traffic accidents. And the major problem with them is that they'll build up in large numbers in small areas of cover. So it's not that they reproduce any quicker than like a roe, for example, because they'll only have 1.2 or 3 young a year. It's just that where they get established, they build up in high numbers, and then you have a big explosion into the surrounding area. So great deer, great to stalk, great to eat, but just a bit of a challenge in our country and habitat.